Can we apply superposition theorem to a network with dependent sources? If that possible, what's the procedure to be followed? What should be the nature of dependent sources present in that network? And when we calculate the response created when a particular independent source is acting alone, what we are supposed to do with the dependent sources present in that network? Are we supposed to open circuit them or short circuit them? Do you ever think about these questions? Okay guys, myself Abhisha. Today I'm here to share the answers to all of these questions. Stay tuned to the lesson as I share some tips and tricks on how we can apply superposition theorem to networks with dependent sources without making any errors. You are watching me on our channel Crack It, a place to learn everything about easy. If you haven't subscribed it yet, please do it. I think we can start now. Today we are going to focus on superposition theorem with dependent sources. Now let me ask you a question. Do you remember what is superposition theorem? Let's have a quick review on that. According to superposition theorem, the response in a linear circuit having more than one independent source can be obtained by adding the responses caused by the separate independent sources acting alone. In fact, this theorem is explained in detail in our previous video, so I'm not going to repeat that right now. If you have any doubts regarding this theorem, I highly recommend please do watch my previous video on superposition theorem. Alright? Okay, now I would like to ask you a question. Do you know what is a dependent source? Or what is the difference between a dependent source and an independent source? I will tell you. In dependent source, the source quantity is controlled by a voltage or current present at some other location in that network. Or we can say dependent sources are the sources in which source quantity like voltage or current is dependent on another voltage or current present in that network. Got it? Okay. We have four types of dependent sources. They are current controlled current source, voltage controlled current source, voltage controlled voltage source, and current controlled current source. Let us understand these four types one by one. First one, current controlled current source. In circuit analysis, dependent sources are represented by diamond symbols. Here you can see a current source with source quantity K into Ix, where K is the dimensionless constant and Ix is the controlling variable or controlling current, which is defined at some other location in that network. So here we have a current source which is controlled by another current. That's why it is called a current controlled current source. Clear? Hope you got this. The second one, voltage controlled current source. This is a simple. The source quantity is defined as G into Vx, where G is the scaling factor and Vx is the controlling voltage which is defined at some other location in that particular network being analyzed. When we look at this source, here we have a current source which is controlled by a voltage, hence we call it as voltage controlled voltage source. Next we have voltage controlled voltage source. This is a simple and the source quantity is defined as K into Vx, where K is the dimensionless constant and Vx is the controlling voltage defined at some other location in that particular network. What about this course? Here we have a voltage source which is controlled by another voltage. So it is known as voltage controlled voltage source. Finally, we have current controlled voltage source. This is a simple source quantity is R into Ix, where R is the scaling factor and Ix is the controlling current defined at some other location in that network. Here we have a voltage source which is controlled by another current, hence it is named as current controlled voltage source. Alright, that's all about dependent sources. Moving on to how we can apply superposition theorem to networks with the dependent sources. I'm going to explain this concept with the help of some problems. The first question I have for you is, use superposition principle to determine the value of Ix. An electrical network is given here. First of all, take a look at this network. Here we have two independent sources, a 10 volt voltage source and a 3 ampere current source. You can see one more source here, but it is not a independent source. It's a dependent voltage source with a source quantity 2 into Ix, where the controlling variable Ix is defined as current through this 2 ohm resistor from left to right, which is the quantity to be calculated. Thus, we are asked to find out the value of Ix using superposition theorem. Since we are using superposition theorem, first we have to calculate two quantities. Current through this 2 ohm when this 10 volt source is acting alone, current through this 2 ohm when this 3 ampere source is acting alone. Then we have to add these two quantities to obtain our desired current Ix. Alright. Okay, let us first focus on this 10 volt source, which means we are going to find out current through this 2 ohm when this 10 volt source is acting alone. When we calculate response created by a particular independent source acting alone, we are supposed to replace all other independent voltage sources present in that network with the short circuits and all other independent current sources present in that network using open circuit. So for calculating response created by this 10 volt source, we replace this 3 ampere current source with an open circuit. After doing that, our circuit look like this. Ix1 is marked as current through this 2 ohm when this 10 volt source is acting alone. Correspondingly, we change the dependent source quantity as 2Ix1. Why it is so? Here, the dependent source quantity is defined as 2 into current through 2 ohm. Ix1 is the current through this 2 ohm and correspondingly we change the source quantity into 2Ix1. Got it? Okay, when we analyze this network, you can see there is only a single loop and Ix1 is the current flowing through the surface of that loop. Hence, we can consider Ix1 as the loop current. Next, we are going to mark polarities of voltage drop across each resistor according to the direction of this Ix1. Ix1 flows through this 2 ohm resistor from left to right. As you know, current always flows from higher potential to lower potential. Since it is flowing from left to right, we mark a positive polarity at left and negative polarity at right. Similarly, Ix1 flows through this 1 ohm from left to right. So we mark a positive polarity at left and negative polarity at right. Okay. Next, what we are going to do is we are going to write KVL equation of this loop in clockwise direction. Starting at this point, first we observe this 10 volt voltage source with the polarity mark in the order minus plus. So we start our KVL equation with minus 10. Next we have the voltage drop across this 2 ohm, which is equal to 2 into Ix1 with the polarity marking the order plus minus. Correspondingly, we added term 2 into Ix1 to our KVL equation. Then the voltage drop across this 1 ohm, which is nothing but 1 into Ix1 with the polarity marking the order plus minus. Hence we add a 1 into Ix1 to our KVL equation. Finally, we have the dependent voltage source 2Ix1 with the polarity mark plus minus. So we added term 2Ix1 to our KVL equation. So now our KVL equation is minus 10 plus 2 into Ix1 plus 2 into Ix1 is equal to 0. Or 5Ix1 is equal to 10. From this we get Ix1 as 10 by 5 or 2 ampere. Understood? Okay, let us now focus on this 3 ampere current source, which means we are going to find out current through this 2 ohm resistor when this 3 ampere source is acting alone. And for calculating that, we have to replace this 10 volt voltage source with a short circuit. After short circuiting 10 volt voltage source, our circuit look like this. Ix2 is marked as current through this 2 ohm. Correspondingly, the dependent source quantity changes to 2Ix2. Let us mark this as node V1, and this is our reference node, which is assumed to be at zero potential. Now we are going to write KCL equation at this node. By KCL or Kirchhoff's current law, sum of currents entering at a node is equal to sum of currents leaving at that node. Take a look at this node V1. Here we can see one incoming current 3 ampere and 2 unknown currents. The unknown currents are the current through this 1 ohm resistor and that through this 2 ohm resistor, which should be considered as outgoing currents at node V1. Okay. One end of this 2 ohm is at reference node, that is at zero potential, and other end is at node V1. Hence, the current through 2 ohm from node V1 to reference node can be written as V1 minus 0 by 2. This V1 by 2. Then, one end of this 1 ohm resistor is at potential 2Ix2 and other end is at potential V1. Correspondingly, current through this 1 ohm from node V1 to reference node can be written as V1 minus 2Ix2 by 1. Got it? V1 minus 2Ix2 by 1. By KCL, sum of currents entering node V1 is equal to sum of currents leaving node V1. Hence, we can write V1 by 2 plus V1 minus 2Ix2 by 1 is equal to 3. Here, left hand side of this equation represents sum of leaving currents and right hand side represents sum of entering currents. Alright? Okay. Then this Ix2 is the current through 2 ohm from reference node to V1, which can be expressed as 0 minus V1 by 2 or minus V1 by 2. By substituting the value of Ix2 in this equation, we get V1 by 2 plus V1 minus 2 into minus V1 by 2 is equal to 3, or node potential V1 is equal to 1.2 volts. Got it? Okay. Now what we are going to do is we are going to substitute the value of V1 in the expression of Ix2. We get Ix2 is equal to minus 1.2 by 2, that is equal to minus 0.6 amperes. Clear? Okay, so we obtained the values of Ix1 and Ix2, where Ix1 is the current through 2 ohm from first independent source is acting alone, and Ix2 is the current through 2 ohm when second independent source is acting alone. Our desired quantity Ix can be expressed as Ix1 plus Ix2, that is equal to 2 plus minus 0.6, that is equal to 1.4 amperes. Hope you got it. Moving on to next question. Use superposition theorem to obtain the voltage across each current source. As usual, let us first analyze this network. Here we have two independent sources, a 2 ampere current source and a 3 volt voltage source. One more source is here, but it is a dependent current source for I, where the controlling variable I is defined as current through this 5 ohm resistor in downward direction. Let us mark this as node V1 and this as node V2, and this is our reference node. Here we are asked to find out voltage across each current source. Look at this current source. This 2 ampere source is connected between node V1 and reference node. Correspondingly, the voltage across this 2 ampere is V1 itself. Similarly, the dependent current source for I is connected between node V2 and reference node. Correspondingly, the voltage across this source can be expressed as V2 itself. Okay. So we are asked to find out the value of V1 and V2 using superposition theorem. Since we are using superposition theorem, first we have to find the values of V1 and V2 when this 2 ampere source is acting alone. Then values of V1 and V2 when this 3 volt voltage source is acting alone. Finally, these two values are added to obtain our desired V1 and V2. Okay. Let us first focus on this 2 ampere current source, which means we are going to find out V1 and V2 when this 2 ampere current source is acting alone. As I told earlier, when we calculate the response created by a particular independent source acting alone, we have to replace all other independent voltage sources present in that network with short circuits and all other independent current sources present in that network with open circuit. Henceforth, for calculating the response created by this 2 ampere current source acting alone, we replace this 3 volt source with a short circuit. After doing that, our circuit will look like this. I dash is marked as current through this 5 ohm when 2 ampere source is acting alone. Correspondingly, the dependent source value changes to 4 I dash. V1 dash and V2 dash are the node potentials at V1 and V2 when this 2 ampere source is acting alone. Okay. Let us write the KCL at V1 dash. At V1 dash, we have one incoming current 2 ampere and 2 unknown currents which should be considered as outgoing currents. The unknown currents are the current through this 7 ohm and that through this 15 ohm. One end of this 7 ohm is at potential V1 dash and other at a 0 potential or reference potential. Correspondingly, the current through this 7 ohm from V1 dash to reference node can be written as V1 dash minus 0 by 7. Or V1 dash by 7. Okay. Then this 15 ohm is connected to potential V1 dash at this point and potential V2 dash at this point. Correspondingly, current through this 15 ohm from V1 dash to V2 dash can be written as V1 dash minus V2 dash by 15. Okay. By KCL, the sum of currents entering at node V1 dash is equal to sum of current leaving that node. Hence, we can write V1 dash by 7 plus V1 dash minus V2 dash by 15 is equal to 2. By rearranging this, we get 0.209 V1 dash minus 0.067 V2 dash is equal to 2, which is labeled as equation number 1. Okay. Next, consider node V2 dash. At V2 dash, we have one incoming current 4I dash. Then 2 unknown currents. The unknown currents are the current through this 5 ohm and that through this 15 ohm. One end of this 5 ohm is at potential V2 dash and other end is at 0 potential. Correspondingly, the current through this 5 ohm from V2 dash to reference node can be written as V2 dash by 5. Okay, V2 dash by 5. Next, one end of this 15 ohm is at potential V2 dash and other end is at potential V1 dash. the current through this 15 ohm from V2 dash to V1 dash can be written as V2 dash minus V1 dash by 15. Okay, it is written here V2 dash minus V1 dash by 15. Let us now focus on I dash. I dash is the current through this 5 ohm from V2 dash to reference node. So it can be written as V2 dash by 5. Okay, right? I dash is equal to V2 dash by 5. By KCL, sum of currents entering at node V2 dash is equal to sum of currents leaving the V2 dash. So which are the currents entering here? 4 I dash and 2 outgoing currents or 2 unknown currents which are considered as outgoing currents. So we can write V2 dash by 5 plus V2 dash minus V1 dash by 15 is equal to 4 I dash or 4 into V2 dash by 5. By rearranging this, we get minus 0.067 V1 dash minus 0.533 V2 dash is equal to 0 and it is labeled as equation number 2. Now by solving equation number 1 and 2, we get V1 dash is equal to 9.18 volts and V2 dash is equal to minus 1.147 volts. Okay, got it? Let us now focus on our second independent source, the 3 volt voltage source. For calculating the response created by this 3 volt source, we have to replace this 2 ampere current source with a open circuit. After open circuiting that current source, we get a circuit like this. I double dash is marked as current through this 5 ohm when this 3 volt independent source is acting alone. Correspondingly, we change the dependent source value to 4 I double dash. Let us mark this as V1 double dash and V2 double dash, which are the node potentials at V1 and V2 when this 3 volt source is acting alone. Okay. Now write the KCL at this node V1 double dash. At V1 double dash we have 2 unknown currents. The unknown currents are the current through this 7 ohm resistor and that through this 15 ohm resistor. These unknown currents are considered as outgoing currents. One end of the 7 ohm is at potential V1 double dash and other end is at 3 volt. Correspondingly, the current through this 7 ohm from V1 double dash to 3 volt can be written as V1 double dash minus 3 by 7. Similarly, one end of 15 ohm is at potential V1 double dash and other end is at potential V2 double dash. Hence, the current through this 15 ohm from node V1 double dash to V2 double dash can be written as V1 double dash minus V2 double dash by 15. Okay. Then by applying KCL at V1 double dash, we get V1 double dash minus 3 by 7 plus V1 double dash minus V2 double dash by 15 is equal to 0. By rearranging this equation, we get 0.209 V1 double dash minus 0.067 V2 double dash is equal to 0.428. Let us mark this equation number 1. Okay. Now take a look at this node V2 double dash. At V2 double dash, we have one incoming current for I double dash and 2 unknown outgoing currents. One end of this 5 ohm is at potential V2 double dash and other end is at 0 potential. Correspondingly, current through this 5 ohm from V2 double dash to reference node can be written as V2 double dash by 5. Okay. Then current through this 15 ohm from V2 double dash to V1 double dash can be written as V2 double dash minus V1 double dash by 15. At V2, 4 I double dash is the incoming current and unknown outgoing currents. So by applying KCL, we get V2 double dash minus V1 double dash by 15 plus V2 double dash by 5 is equal to 4 I double dash. From this diagram, it is clear that I double dash is equal to V2 double dash by 5. By substituting this value, we get V2 double dash minus V1 double dash by 15 plus V2 double dash by 5 is equal to 4 V2 double dash by 5. By rearranging, we get 0.067 V1 double dash minus 0.533 V2 double dash is equal to 0 and is labeled as equation number 2. Solving equation 1 and 2, we get V1 double dash is equal to 1.967 volts and V2 double dash is equal to 0.245 volts. By superposition theorem, our desired quantity V1 can be expressed as V1 dash plus V1 double dash. By substituting the values of V1 dash and V1 double dash, we get V1 is equal to 11.147 volts. Similarly, V2 is equal to V2 dash plus V2 double dash, that is equal to minus 1.147 minus 0.245, that is equal to minus 1.392 volts. Okay, alright. Thus, we obtained our desired quantities V1 as 11.147 volts and V2 as minus 1.392 volts. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Thank you.